Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alison, the online piano and the online violin tutor. So today I want to talk to you about what to look for in a violin, or what to look for when buying a violin. But before I do any of that, I know a lot of you are new watchers to my channel or new subscribers to my channel. If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. Click the notification bell and then you will be notified each time I release a video. But also, a lot of you who watch my videos have absolutely no idea that I have a most fabulous 1 to 30 violin course, which I have spread out behind me. It is a 100% downloadable course, completely interactive, nothing like it available on the internet. And I just wanted to take just a few moments to tell you about it, because honestly, even if I do say so myself, it is a really, really good course. It's been tried and tested by hundreds of you out there, and you can see that by the reviews on my channel, and you can watch all the videos beforehand before you invest any money. But I just wanted to tell you a little bit about my course because it is so great, and then we will get into the video. So my 1 to 30 violin course guarantees to take you from a complete beginner to a very accomplished intermediate player. Basically, it's going to take you from playing like this to playing like this. This is the only interactive and all-encompassing course available online, and the closest you'll ever get to having a real teacher sitting there in the room with you. This course has been developed using my many years of experience as a violin teacher, performer, and actually a London College of Music examiner for one of the top exam boards in the UK. And this has given me a very unique and particular insight into teaching and how it should be taught. So this course takes you from a complete beginner, so you don't know anything about music. It will teach you how to hold the violin, how to hold the bow, where to place the violin, where to actually bow on the strings. So you don't even need to be a musician to learn to play via this course. You don't need to know anything about anything. Of course, if you do know something about music and you've played an instrument in the past, then that's obviously going to help you. But you don't need to know anything about music. And this course will take you through everything you need to know. So once you've learnt to hold the violin, it will start to teach you some open strings and then gradually adding in a few of the finger notes. After each set of 10 lessons, you will then move on to a songbook. Each songbook contains 10 well-known classical pieces that have been arranged for the exact level of the previous 10 lessons. So lessons 1 to 10. Then you would go on to this songbook 1, and everything in this songbook 1, it will encompass everything that you've learned in lessons 1 to 10. There'll be nothing more, nothing less in there. Then you will move on to lessons 11 to 20. Once you've completed those, you will move on to songbook 2. Songbook 2 will be at the exact level that you will be at after you've got to lesson 20. After that, you'll move on to the next set of 10 lessons and then finish off with songbook 3. And the piece that I played at the beginning of this was from the songbook 3. The beauty of this whole course is that it's priced very, very fairly, and you don't have to commit to any weekly lessons. You can do them exactly when you want to. It's fully interactive, as I say, with the videos online and everything that you need in the books. You don't need any other materials if you don't want to, no other sheet music. And the best part about it is that the first 10 lessons are 100% absolutely free. I want you to try the first 10 lessons. I want you to see how I teach, see how you get on with it, see if you're actually playing, see if you actually learn. And if you do like the first 10 lessons, then you can go ahead and purchase the rest of the books that we've got here. So I stand by my statement that my 1 to 30 violin course guarantees to take you from a complete beginner to a very accomplished intermediate. Okay, so I want to talk to you about what to look for in a violin when you're looking to buy a violin. Now there's lots of things to look for in a violin, but I just wanted to just come on here and condense it down into a very quick kind of video, just to give you a rough idea of what you are looking for in a violin. So before I do actually go into that, there are lots and lots and lots of different brands of violins that are just all over the place. And I don't know all of them. I haven't tried all of them. There are just too many to name. A lot of them I've actually never even heard of. So if you have found a brand of violin on eBay or wherever it is, unless I have actually reviewed it, I'm not going to be able to tell you whether it's a good violin or not, because I need to personally try the violin myself. So if you do comment and say, "Hi Alison, can you tell me about this violin any good?" Unless I have personally played it and physically had it in my hands myself, I'm not going to know. So I will put a link to my review playlist, my violin review playlist underneath, so that you can watch all the violins that I have reviewed. The majority of ones I reviewed are the ones from the Fiddler Man. He's been sending me his violins over the last few years, and honestly, they are the best ones that I have been sent. I've tried quite a few brands. I haven't tried all of them. I've tried quite a few brands, and his violins are consistently very, very good. They're all sort of the same. So they're all, as in, they all sound very different, but they are consistently all of the same. The way he packs everything, the way he puts everything together, the way everything is tested, the way everything goes out of the warehouse exactly as it should be, that kind of thing. So he has a huge variety of violins, all different kind of price points. I'm not being paid by the Fiddler Man to say any of this. Just thought I would step in and say that. I'm just telling you this because I have tried a lot of his violins. Probably nearly all of the violins that he sells in this shop, I think I've reviewed in some way or another over the last 2 or so years. So he's not paying me to say any of the words that are coming out of my mouth. I just really, really like the Fiddler Man violins. I'm happy to help promote them in a way. I'm happy to put my name to them and say, go and get a Fiddler Man violin, whichever one you choose based on reviews or whatever. I'd be happy to tell you to go out and get a violin and put my name on that, because they are very, very good. I haven't played any one of his violins that I've thought, that's a bit dodgy. They're all really, really good, and they're all at completely different price points as well. But anyway, this isn't a Fiddler Man review video by any stretch of the imagination, but I wanted to tell you what to look for in a violin. So if you do get a chance to try out some violins, or go to a local shop, what have you, then I think the first thing you need to look out for is the weight of the violin. So how heavy does it feel? Now usually the cheaper the violin, the heavier it's going to be, just simply because you're just paying for inferior quality items. Everything on the violin is just going to be really poor. The tail piece is going to be like metal. The chin piece is going to be very thick and heavy and not very nice at all, or it's certainly not going to be ebony. I know this is plastic, but a lot of them are ebony. Although this is a very thin one. This is a Molko chin rest. This is my famous chin rest that I always get asked about because it's really thin, because I don't like anything poking up into my neck. The fingerboards are going to be heavy. It's going to be thick with that kind of lacquer gloss or whatever they put over the top of them. Everything is just going to be big, fat and heavy with them. So the more money you pay, the more finesse you're paying for. So you really don't want a violin that feels really heavy. And I guess you're only going to know that when you feel two violins together. I don't have another violin to hand here, but if you had another violin, you could feel the two together. This violin here is this is my own antique violin, and it's very, very light for violin. The wood is very, very thin. The whole thing about it is just very light. The body is very light, but it feels a lot heavier up here, for example. And that's absolutely fine. That is, you know, that doesn't bother me. But overall, the violin is very light. So I would just make sure that you haven't got anything that feels overtly heavy to you, because ultimately it's not going to be comfortable, because all the weight's going to be pushing down onto your shoulder. Okay, the second thing you want to look out for is smoothness. You want something that's going to sound nice and smooth to you, and something that isn't going to sound scratchy. Now, obviously no one wants scratching on the violin, and that can be a bit of a difficult one, because especially if you're new to the violin, there's going to be a little bit of scratch going on in there just through default, just because you're new and you're maybe not that good at it. But I'm talking about the kind of scratch that just doesn't sound right. Something's not sitting well with it, or something's just not sitting right with it. Unfortunately, I can't really demonstrate something like that, because I don't have a myriad of violins with me, and I've been playing for many, many years, so it's going to be slightly different. But you'll know when you play them whether something's not gelling with your technique. So you just want something that as soon as you play the violin, it just feels like it's an extension of your arm and your hand. So something that just feels nice and smooth. The third thing you want to look out for is something that feels comfortable. So again, almost kind of goes with the weight kind of situation, but when I've tried the Fiddlerman violins, for example, and this isn't a criticism by any means, but each one of them feels different, and each one of them feels very different to my violin. I'm used to a very, very, very light violin, and this one is on the extremities of being very, very, very light. Probably one of the lightest violins out there, and his are all heavier than mine, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm only talking just marginally heavier, because mine is excessively light. But even each one of his feels different, depending on which ones I'm reviewing. I can't think off the top of my head now, because it's been quite a while since I reviewed them, so I can't possibly sort of remember the weight of each one. But I do recall that each one sort of feels different, and I'll play one, and for me it will just feel a little more comfortable than the next one, or that one will feel a little bit more it just completely depends, and what might feel comfortable for me isn't going to feel comfortable for you. So some of you out there might not even like this, because it's like you're just playing on something that's as light as a feather, and you want something with a little more, you want something a little more to it. I'm used to this suits me. I play for long periods of times when I'm at weddings and performing and things, so it's fine for me, and I like it. But for someone else, this isn't going to be so great. So make sure you are playing something that feels physically comfortable. And it's sort of the similar thing when I talk about bows as well. You will pick up a very expensive bow, or half a dozen expensive bows, maybe the $1,000 range, £1,000 range, something like that. But you could pick up 3 of those, and they just don't feel right. They feel too heavy, to this, to that, and you'll pick up the other 3, and they'll feel just fine. So this doesn't mean to say that because you are spending a lot of money that it's automatically going to feel right for you, because it all depends. So make sure that something just, it feels comfortable. And don't forget, you can change things like the chin rest. The first thing I always do if I have any new instrument, I'll swap out the chin rest, and I'll put my little precious Molko chin rest on there. I have a whole drawer full of these, because I just love them, and I just like how thin the chin rest is, and I don't feel that it's digging up into my neck at all. So I always swap out for the Molko chin rest. Just maybe, again, it's just something that I've been used to for many, many years. And then number 4 and number 5 is going to be scratch and tone. So I kind of covered that a little bit in number 2 when I said smoothness, but kind of scratch and tone almost go hand in hand together. What you want to try and do is, when you're trying out these violins, whether you've got them at home, or a lot of places will let you have them at home, and if you're not sort of happy in a few weeks, you can kind of go back and swap them. A lot of places will let you do that, because you're spending quite a lot of money, and you can't always choose what you want on the day, even though you're there for a couple of hours. It's sort of, you know, you need to kind of go away, sleep on it, digest it, come back and see what happens. So my advice when trying would be to don't play any new music. Don't bring any new music with you. Bring old music that you know you can play like the back of your hand. Maybe something that you've memorized, something that you spent a lot of work on, because that's going to be your litmus test. That's going to be your test as to whether or not you're going to like this violin. The other thing I would do is always bring your current violin, so you have something to compare it to. I know you're probably going to be upgrading, for example, but if you take your old violin with you, you'll be able to play the old violin, play the new violin, play the old violin, play another new violin, so you can kind of compare it. But you want to be playing pieces that you know, so maybe pick something that's sort of quite low down and, you know, slow, something like that. Maybe something that plays in the middle register and something that plays up high in the higher register. Maybe some sort of faster pieces and slower pieces, just so, do you see what I mean? So just so you've got a variety of pieces so that you can try the violin out as a whole scope. So when I do my violin reviews, I try and pick 3 pieces to demonstrate to you all, and I'll choose the same 3 pieces throughout the whole set of violins, whether I'm reviewing 3 or 4, 5, 6 violins, whatever. I'll choose the same 3 pieces, but I'll choose one piece that hits a lot of the lower register, another piece that plays in the middle, and another piece that plays up high, because a lot of you want to hear the whole scope of the violin, and playing the same pieces on the different instruments gives you a much more of a test, because then I can edit them back to back and you can hear the changes immediately. So when you've got your pieces, you will then be able to identify whether it feels smooth, comfortable, scratchy, whether you like the tone of it or not, because you're always going to be comparing it to your old violin. You're going to be comparing it to the 3 pieces, 2 or 3 pieces, whatever, that you've been playing for months and months and months and months and months and know like the back of your hand. And then you can compare that when you're playing the different, or choosing the different violins. So just a little tip there to make sure that you're playing pieces that you know very, very well, pieces that are in a very broad spectrum, a very broad range of, you know, low, medium and high, maybe fast and slow, different bow techniques, see how you want to push the violin and see how it performs. And also comparing it to your original violin, which is really important as well. I should probably add, don't worry about a bow at this stage. Stick with your current bow. I would sort out a bow another time when you've got used to that violin. Don't start adding bows to the mix of buying new violins, because it's just going to be too confusing. You're just not going to know, because you just got a new violin. So you've got to let the new violin settle in till you get to the point where when you pick up the new violin, it just becomes the same as the old violin. It's not a new violin anymore, it's just your violin. And then you can go and sort out a bow, because then you'll have a better idea of how that current violin performs. So there we go, just 5 simple things and a few hints and tips as well thrown in there, as well as what to look for when you are buying a new violin. I hope this video has helped. Don't forget, my 1 to 30 violin course will be linked underneath this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.